Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I will be painting the portrait of one of the most infamous figures in true crime history, Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker. As I paint, I will be telling you his full story, from his troubled childhood to the dark path that led to his horrifying crimes. Please be advised, this video will contain disturbing details, so viewer discretion is strongly recommended. My goal is to share this story with respect for the victims and bring awareness to the reality behind the fear that once gripped an entire city. Thank you for joining me. Now let's begin. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960 in El Paso of Texas. He was the youngest of 5 children. His parents were immigrants from Mexico. His father Julian was strict and often violent. At home, Richard grew up in fear. His mother, Mercedes, worked in factory but could not protect the children from their father's anger. Richard had a lot of problems early in life. He had several head injuries as a child. Once when a dresser fell on him, and another time when a swing hit him on the head. These accidents caused him to have seizures and health problems. As a teenager, Richard started using drugs like marijuana. He spent more and more time on the streets and often slept in a local cemetery to avoid his father's violence. After that, Richard lived with his older sister, Ruth. But her husband was a peeping Tom, someone who spied a woman through the windows. Richard often joined him at night, sneaking around and watching people without them knowing. During this time, Richard also became very interested in Satanism. He mixed drug use with reading about the devil and dark rituals. His mind grew darker as he mixed violence, sex, and evil ideas together. By the time he was a teenager, he had already started stealing from a hotel guests. He even tried to assault a woman in a hotel, but he was caught. However, the charges were dropped and Richard faced no real punishment. By 18, Richard Ramirez was already deeply damaged and dangerous. He moved to California to start a new life, but it was a life of crime. 2 months later, he struck again. On June 28, 1984, a 79-year-old woman was found murdered in her Los Angeles apartment. She had been stabbed many times, and her throat was cut so deeply she was almost decapitated. Her apartment was also robbed. The police found a fingerprint on a window screen, but they didn't know who it belonged to. Ramirez realized he enjoyed not just stealing, but hurting and killing people. In March 1985, Ramirez started his spree of attacks that made him famous as the Night Stalker. On March 17, 1985, he attacked a woman as she came home. He shot her in the face, but the bullet bounced off her car keys, and she survived by playing dead. He went inside and shot her roommate, killing her. Less than an hour later, he shot and killed another woman while she was driving. The police realized they were dealing with a killer who moved fast, attacked at random, and had no clear pattern. Soon, the media called him the walking killer and the valet intruder. Later, they gave him the name he's best known for, the Night Stalker. March 27, 1985. Richard attacked a couple in their home. He shot the man while he slept, and his wife woke up, and Ramirez beat and tied her. She managed to break free and grab a shotgun, but it wasn't loaded. Ramirez shot and killed her. Then he mutilated her body, carved a symbol on her, and removed her eyes, taking them with him. This showed that Ramirez was not just a killer. He enjoyed cruelty and rituals tied to Satanism. From this point, his attacks became even more frequent and brutal. He targeted young and old, rich and poor, men and women, anyone. He used guns, knives, hammers, and even a machete. He often sexually assaulted his victims and robbed their homes. He drew pentagrams on the walls and forced victims to swear to Satan. The whole city of Los Angeles was terrified. People locked their doors, bought guns, installed alarms, and still felt unsafe. Some of Ramirez's victims survived. One woman, she escaped after being shot. Another teenager girl survived a brutal attack when Ramirez tried to strangle her, but a spark from a broken phone cord scared him off. Another woman survived a horrific assault, and she was later able to describe him clearly to the police. Each survivor added important clues. At some crime scenes, Ramirez left shoe prints. The police found out he was wearing a rare type of Avia sneaker. This would later be a major part of the evidence against him. Meanwhile, the Night Stalker seemed unstoppable. On August 24, 1985, Ramirez attacked a couple in Mission Viejo. A young boy at a nearby house heard him and saw part of his car's license plate. This small detail would help catch him. After that attack, Ramirez stole a car. Police found the car, and inside it they found a clear fingerprint. Thanks to a new computer technology, they matched the fingerprint to Richard Ramirez, a man already in the system for small crimes. The police released his name and picture to the public. The manhunt was on. On August 31, 1985, Richard Ramirez returned to Los Angeles. He didn't know that by now his face was everywhere. Newspapers, TV, posters. When he walked into a store, he saw people look at him strangely. He looked down and saw his own face on the front page of a newspaper. Panicking, Ramirez ran out of the store. He tried to steal a car, but the owner screamed. Neighbors chased him through the streets. At one point, a man hit him in the head with a metal bar. More people joined in, tackling and beating him. Finally, police arrived and arrested him. The man who had terrified Los Angeles was now beaten and captured by regular citizens. When Richard Ramirez was taken to jail, he showed no regret. Some say he even smiled. At his first court appearance, he raised his hand with a pentagram drawn on it and said, "Hi Satan." He clearly enjoyed the attention. In jail, police found even more evidence linking him to the crimes. Fingerprints, shoe prints, stolen items, and survivor testimonies. There was no doubt anymore. Richard Ramirez was the Night Stalker. Ramirez's trial was one of the longest and most expensive in California's history. He faced 43 charges, 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 robberies. Survivors bravely testified against him. Victims' families sat in court listening to the terrible details. Ramirez acted cold and arrogant during the trial. He sometimes smiled or laughed while listening to the evidence. There were even women who came to court because they were obsessed with him. Some believed he was innocent, even though the evidence was overwhelming. On September 20, 1989, Richard Ramirez was found guilty on all charges. Later, during sentencing, he was given the death penalty. When reporters asked if he had anything to say, Ramirez said, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. I will see you in Disneyland." He showed no remorse. Richard Ramirez was sent to San Quentin prison, to death row. Even there, he continued to get letters from admirers. One woman even married him in 1996. Ramirez stayed on death row for more than 20 years. His appeals went nowhere. He never expressed guilt for his crimes. He stayed proud of what he had done. In his later years, Ramirez developed serious health problems, hepatitis C and cancer. He never made it to the execution chamber. On June 7, 2013, Richard Ramirez died at the age of 53 from a cancer complications. There was not big funeral. No family members came forward. His body was cremated quietly. The man, who had caused so much fear, died alone and forgotten. Stories like this is a reminder how real evil can be. Look out for yourself and for the people you care about. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.